What's up everybody, I'm Kirk, welcome back to the channel. ProDeus was one of my favorite games of 2020, an old school shooter made with new school tech, an FPS for FPS fans, fast as a rocket and hard hitting like a sledgehammer, with tools built in encouraging players to create their own levels and experiences to share with others. Now, almost a year after hitting early access, the game has finally received its first major content update, much to the delight of us shooter fanatics. In today's video, we'll be checking in with ProDeus. I'll give a rundown of the new content and offer my thoughts. But before all that, if you're new here and you're digging what you're seeing, please consider liking and subscribing to help support this channel. Alrighty, let's get cracking. Now, while this may be ProDeus' first major content update, much has been done to steadily improve the initial release throughout this last year. We've had plenty of bug fixes and small aesthetic improvements like these fancy new loading screens. On top of that, numerous improvements to the weapons and shooting, ranging from small tweaks to the weapon spread, damage, and transition speeds, to major ones like the plasma gun now having a trail added for its lock-on alternate fire. All weapons now have their own distinct crosshair tailored to their mechanics, which I think look and work great. But there is the option to switch back to a more traditional crosshair if it's not your jam. One of ProDeus' core features, the powerful in-game map editor, has also received a lot of attention with a whole slew of improvements. Improvements put to good use, as the ProDeus map community has been churning out some fantastic stuff. In fact, this is a good time to mention the mapping contests put on in cooperation with MapCore, which not only showed how powerful this in-game editor is, but also how ridiculously talented these map makers are. By the way, if you're curious about the mapping contests, I have my 3 videos covering them listed in the description. So, what's new? Well, this update includes 5 new maps, one of them being a new time trial, as well as some new music by composer Andrew Hulshult. Unfortunately, the new weapons teased throughout this last year did not make it into this build, and the multiplayer mode is still absent, although co-op is currently in testing and nearing a stable build for public consumption. Admittedly, the update is on the light side, considering it is the first content update since last year's early access release. No doubt the result of the pandemic complicating a lot of game development. It may be a bummer ProDeus isn't further along, but I do commend the devs for keeping their community engaged with steady communication and mapping contests, as well as grinding to get these 5 maps out. 5 maps that I'm eager to talk about. The first of the new maps is Corruption, and hey look, the sunshine came out. Corruption revolves around a mining facility that our blue-faced hero plans to bring to the ground. Ha! The door smashed the zombie. It's a mix of cramped outdoor spaces and cramped indoor spaces, designed to let enemies come at you from every direction, with projectile throwers in tall places and plenty of lungers and zombies on the ground level to give you trouble. A big chunk of the level revolves around firing up a generator, which can be done by flipping 3 switches hidden in the structures. It can be a little tricky figuring out how to get to these switches, but not to the point of frustration. Also, there's a running device of these giant mining vehicles that become quite the obstacle, the first of which actually ran over and killed me. Overall, it's a good level to shake the cobwebs out for those who haven't played in a bit. Not a big standout in my mind, but far from a snooze fest. And you gotta love that sunshine. Next, we have Atonement, which takes place in a giant space church. The goal is to activate this giant teleporter, which apparently is dedicated to power, courage, and wisdom. Or maybe it's weakness, fear, and stupidity. Atonement opens with a battle between the Red Chaos and Blue Proteans, which made for some brief entertainment. My money's on the red guys. This map can be a toughie. Combat zones are large and give you lots of breathing room, but battles throw some of the tougher enemies of the game at you, and there's a few tricky semi-close quarters fights against the Proteans. Once again, not a big standout for me, but still a fine map nonetheless, and the symmetrical church-like architecture is a nice change of pace. The update features a new time trial course for the grenade launcher, with a brief section dedicated to the shredders. The goal of this is to get all of the targets under 1 minute and 20 seconds, and seeing as the grenade launcher is one of my favorite weapons in the game, I was more than pleased with the design of this course and the trial and error of figuring it out. However, after playing this new trial, I did come away with a few suggestions for the time trials in general. First, I think players should be given a separate loadout featuring just the weapons they'll need, and fully loaded at the start. I say this because you bring your own loadout into these maps, and when I played it for the first time, my grenade launcher ammo was exhausted, meaning the first thing I was doing in this time trial was wasting time by reloading it. Kinda silly. And no, you can't switch to another weapon and use that. It has to be the grenades. Second, I'm a little puzzled why there isn't a timer on screen during these levels, simply so players can keep track of how they're doing. Last, while the rewards for these maps are completion medals, I feel like there needs to be more of a reward for players that not only beat the time, but also set a record. Just saying. Continuing on, we have Progenitor, my favorite map of the bunch. Right off the bat, you're treated to a new graphical effect, at least new within the campaign, being the rainfall. Lots of rainfall, with sheets of water rushing down the stony textures, looking pretty dang good. Progenitor is easily the most creative map of this update, taking you into a giant protean structure that is mostly buried under dirt and sand. Your task is to unearth this structure by draining the earth out, done by shooting these yellow crystals. Lower the dirt, delve further into the depths of this ancient structure. Progenitor is one of the hardest maps of this update. Enemies are almost all exclusively Protean and Pro-Chaos. If you need a reminder, Protean enemies are a lot harder to kill and their attacks can be devastating, especially on harder difficulties. Although the devs do throw you a bone with these green platforms that restock your ammo. Very nice. I have nothing bad to say about this map. The concept is clever, visually inspired, and a lot of fun to play. And I have to imagine this earth-draining concept is going to inspire some ProDeus map makers out there. Last map is Hexarchy, the finale, if you will, of this first part of the ProDeus campaign, and as of now, my least favorite map of the game. Actually, I don't really mean that. Hexarchy isn't bad. Actually, it's quite good. It's just a mean-ass map designed to give the ProDeus hardcore a hefty challenge. The map is made up of several giant arena battles between Chaos, Protean, and Pro-Chaos, with the Pro enemies making up the larger force, in an arena that dynamically changes around you to very cool effect. Complacency and not having a plan for this map will quickly turn you into a bloody smear. Oh, and there's no health pickups until the final battle of the map. But it's not just the intense combat that makes this map difficult. It's the fact that there are 0 checkpoints. You have to beat this in one go. That's what made it frustrating. These battles can be lengthy and taxing, and there is nothing more maddening than reaching close to the end, dying, and having to repeat everything all over. The whole time playing, I just kept thinking, if there was just one checkpoint, just one, right in between these fights, the frustration level would be so much lower. But of course, that would take all the teeth out of the difficulty the devs want for this fight, because ProDeus's checkpoint system has remained unchanged since release. When you die, you still respawn at the checkpoint with all of your progress maintained, meaning all the enemies you've killed stay dead, an aspect I'm still critical of because it takes a lot of the consequence out of death, and I know I'm not alone in wanting this system revised. But at risk of digression, the level is well made and certainly beatable, and finishing it did fill me with all sorts of satisfaction. But just be ready. Until the checkpoint system is revised or a more traditional save system is put in, Bounding Box has said the checkpoint system is placeholder, this will be the map that will make a lot of players groan. While ProDeus's development may still have a ways to go, this update proves the game is still coming along beautifully. The new maps are solid and fun. Yeah, even you, Hexarchy, you tough son of a bitch. I will say though, for the next major update, whenever that is, I'm really hoping to see more than just some new maps. I want to see some new weapons implemented, a stable version of the co-op, and some more player feedback addressed, the checkpoint system in particular. All that said, this is still a phenomenal shooter, and despite early access, I still feel this is a safe purchase, not only for the campaign available now, but also the wide variety of user maps uploaded. As I've found throughout this last year, every excuse to return to ProDeus has been a good one. But what were your thoughts on this update? Did you have a chance to play it? Do you have any feedback? Be sure to let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, please be sure to subscribe, like, and ring the bell for notifications on future uploads. It's a few clicks for you, but a massive help for this channel. And be sure to come say hi in the Kirk Collects Discord, linked below. I'm Kirk, and thank you for watching this video. Stay safe out there.